Do you ever get that feeling that there are, I don't know, invisible forces kind of shaping your decisions? Well, there are. They're called cognitive biases. And let me tell you, for a leader, they're not just little quirks. They're your single biggest blind spot. So in the next few minutes, we're going to dig into how to see past them and start making much smarter, much fairer choices.
Just think about it for a second. Have you ever met someone who was so well-spoken that you just assumed they were brilliant at everything they did? Or on the flip side, you've seen a colleague make one little mistake and suddenly you start questioning all their previous work. Yep, if that sounds familiar, you've seen a cognitive shortcut in action. And hey, it's not just you, it's how all our brains are wired.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to identify two of a leader's biggest blind spots. Then, we'll dive right into something called the halo effect and then confirmation bias to see exactly how they work. And then, and this is the most important part, we'll give you a practical toolkit to forge a clearer, more objective lens for your own leadership.
Okay, let's get into the core idea here. I want you to think of your brain as this incredibly powerful piece of software. Well, cognitive biases, they're like tiny little bugs in the code. They just run in the background, totally unnoticed most of the time, and they can subtly distort how you see reality and, of course, how you make those crucial decisions.
Now, these so-called bugs aren't a sign of weakness at all. In fact, they're actually a feature that evolved to help us process just massive amounts of information really quickly. The problem is, when you're in a leadership role where things like nuance and fairness and strategy are everything, these super efficient shortcuts can turn into really costly errors in judgment.
All right, so let's zoom in on our first major bias, and it's one of the most common ones out there, the halo effect. This is that classic situation where one single bright spot, or one dark spot, can completely blind us to everything else about a person.
At its core, the halo effect is actually pretty simple. We latch onto one thing we like or dislike about someone, and then our brain just subconsciously applies that feeling to their entire character. A positive halo can make them seem like a total rock star, while a negative one, which by the way is often called the horns effect, can make them look like a villain, all from a single impression.
So where does this actually pop up at work? Oh, everywhere. You've got the charismatic employee who can literally talk their way out of any missed deadline. Or the opposite, right? The quiet team member whose one clumsy presentation unfairly taints their reputation for months. That is the halo effect in action, shaping our evaluations when we're not even paying attention.
Now, for our next blind spot. This one's a little more subtle, but oh man, it's just as powerful. See, if the halo effect messes with how we see people, confirmation bias messes with how we see evidence. It all comes down to our brain's natural and very strong desire to be right.
So what does that really mean? It means we don't just sit back and passively receive information. Nope. We actively hunt for the pieces that prove what we already think is true, and we unconsciously ignore or dismiss anything that contradicts it. It's kind of like being a lawyer, building a legal case for what you already want to believe. Just think about this in a leadership context, right? You might champion a new strategy, and then, without even realizing it, you only look for the market data that supports your decision. Or, when you're evaluating a star employee, maybe one who already has a nice little halo, you'll vividly remember all their wins, while their failures just sort of fade from memory.
So let's put them side by side to make this crystal clear. The halo effect distorts how we see a person based on a single trait. Confirmation bias distorts how we see evidence based on what we already believe. One shapes who we trust, the other shapes what we believe is true. And you can see why both are incredibly dangerous blind spots for any leader.
Okay, so our brains take shortcuts. So what? Why is this such a critical thing for leaders to understand? Well, it's because in leadership, your perception doesn't just affect you. It impacts your entire team, your strategy, and the actual culture of your organization. And the cost here is enormous. The halo effect, it breeds unfair evaluations, where favorites get a pass while other people just can't seem to catch a break. Confirmation bias, it fuels disastrous strategies built on cherry-picked data. And together, they can poison a culture, causing real talent to be overlooked and game-changing opportunities to be missed, all because they didn't fit a preconceived idea. So, what's the antidote here? We can't just delete these biases. I mean, they're hardwired into how we think. But what we can do is learn to recognize them and manage them. So let's get into a simple, practical toolkit for building a clearer, more objective cognitive lens. It really comes down to 3 active steps. First, recognize the bias. Just learn its signature and call it out when you feel it happening. Second, challenge it.
Don't just play devil's advocate for a minute. I mean, actively seek out evidence that disproves your gut feeling. Genuinely ask yourself, what information would prove me wrong? And third, mitigate. Build systems like using the exact same interview questions for every single candidate that force objectivity and take that vague gut feeling out of the equation. And this, right here, is the payoff. When you actively manage your biases, you start making decisions based on evidence, not just impressions. You evaluate your team more accurately, more fairly. You create an inclusive environment where the best ideas win, no matter who they came from. You build a stronger, more resilient team, period.
Ultimately, this full journey isn't about achieving some perfect, bias-free state of mind, because frankly, that's impossible. It's about the ongoing practice of awareness. It's about knowing you have these blind spots and then committing to the work of seeing what's hiding in them. And that is the true essence of clear-sighted leadership.
So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Which smudge are you going to clean from your own cognitive lens first? Is it the alluring glow of the halo or that comfortable echo of confirmation? Because the very first step to seeing clearly is knowing exactly where to wipe. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.